2014. My name is Brandon Gallups with PPSIMMONS News and Ministry Network. Today I have the honor and privilege of being with Larry Pinckney and being of the significance of today's day, April 4th, obviously being the anniversary of the assassination of Dr. King on April 4th, 1968. Larry has agreed to sit down and talk with us. Larry has an interesting history that gives him some very interesting insights into that day and into the struggle that Dr. King was fighting and so many others. And Larry's going to share with us from his heart today where he thinks our nation has come since that time and hopefully where we may go in the future. So Larry, it's my privilege to be with you today, brother. I thank you for taking the time.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you very, very much. It's an honor and a privilege to have the opportunity to sit down and speak with you. And I just want to say that to me, as you mentioned, the date, April 4th, is incredibly important. The assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on April 4th, 1968 was something that affected all Americans, not just black Americans, all Americans, black, white, brown, red, yellow, all Americans. In fact, it affected all people throughout the world who love truth and who love justice. So thank you.
Yes. Some of Larry's particular history that gives him an interesting perspective on that is at the time of Dr. King's assassination, Larry was a member of the original Black Panther Party. You were 17, 18 years old at that time?
Right, right.
Yes, and so he was involved himself in the civil rights struggle of that day, of equal rights for all people, for humanity, not for skin color, but for humanity.
That's right.
For people. And so that's why we particularly asked Larry to sit down today and share some of his insights. So I know you shared with me off camera, Larry, that you remember exactly where you were the moment that you heard that Dr. King had been assassinated. Could you just share with us that memory and kind of how that affected you and your future battles that you were fighting?
Yes, I was in Los Angeles, California. I was the section leader in the Black Panther Party in L.A., in Los Angeles, California. I was a student at Fairfax Senior High School, which was the high school that I ultimately graduated from that same year. To say to you or anyone that the pain, there was great pain, it was far more than pain. I felt that our nation, I felt the United States had lost not only a hero, if you will, but had lost an important part of its heart and soul. An important and integral part of its heart and soul. I could never describe to you the hurt. Even though it's April 4th, 2014, I still feel enormous pain when I think of it. And our nation, our country, our world, Mother Earth, we have suffered a great loss. And I sometimes wonder, frankly, if people even understand, particularly today, what loss we have suffered. And let me put it this way, my brother, that Dr. King said that we would make our judgments of people based on the content of their character and not the color of their skin.
Yes.
Unfortunately, today in the year 2014, this has been reversed. Mm-hmm. It has been reversed even by a so-called black president who is using his pigmentation, because that's all it is. I say so-called black president because he's nominally black. He's not politically or culturally black. But even if he were, so what? But he's not. And he and his minions have used and are using the pigmentation, i.e. color, that's all I mean by pigmentation, as a way to further drive a knife of divisiveness, to divide people. To keep people at each other's throats. Why? Why would you want to keep people? Because that way you can control people. They're at each other's throats. They won't talk with each other. They won't meet with each other. They won't break bread with each other, like you and I have done today.
Yes.
We sat down, we talked, and we debated, and it was wonderful. We broke bread together.
Yes.
But that's the last thing they want us to do.
And we broke bread together as human beings.
As human beings.
Not as a white man and a black man.
No.
But as brothers.
As brothers.
In humanity.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
And that's the last thing that Democrats or Republicans want. Right now it's the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
Malcolm, that is to say Malcolm X, referred to the Democratic Party as foxes. You know, he said you have the foxes and you have the wolves. Democrats are the foxes. And of course, the Republicans are the wolves. But the difference between the foxes and the wolves is when you're dealing with the wolves, you know who you're dealing with. Right? But when you're dealing with the foxes, you don't know who you're dealing with. All right? They're incredibly dangerous. Incredibly dangerous. And this is what we have today with the so-called Democrats. They are the foxes. They are the bloodsuckers who come up behind you and decapitate you without you even realizing that you are anywhere near. You know, sort of like those drone missiles that Obama likes to refer to all the time and uses. You know, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King had a dream, but Barack Obama has a drone. You know?
Yes.
And it's true. I mean, you know, he got a drone. He's got a drone for you.
Predator drone.
Predator drone. That's right.
Yes.
That's right. So, and that's for all of us. We're just not talking about Afghanistan or Pakistan. There are drones right here in this country that are being used to invade the privacy, the dignity of black, white, brown, red, and yellow Americans throughout America, the United States of America. Okay? So, I'll stop there and allow you to.
Appreciate that. Well, let me ask you this. Obviously, during his time here, Dr. King was able to make great advances in the civil rights for all of humanity, of course, but in particularly for black people who were severely oppressed at that time in the United States under, unfortunately, governmental laws and regulations. And then after his death, obviously, there were great leaps that were taken forward. I grew up, my formative years, so to speak, in the late 80s and through the 90s. And my friends, you know, I don't know, race wasn't so much of an issue with us. We joked we were the generation of the mixed baby.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, race obviously progressed, or race relations obviously progressed and took great leaps forward in equality over the years. So what's your perspective on that and the things that Dr. King was able to accomplish during his life and then even after his death?
Well, I think that, again, I go back to Dr. King's statement with respect to making our judgment on people based on the content of their character versus the color of their skin. And I would have to say that, yes, indeed, enormous progress had been made up to the point in time of Dr. King's assassination, which, by the way, the government, the U.S. government, is deeply, deeply involved and was deeply involved and complicit in. Let us say this James Earl Ray nonsense, that's nonsense. The U.S. government was deeply involved in the murder of Dr. King.
Well, that's interesting. I have a question for you on that later.
Okay. Okay. But I want to say that instead of moving forward, I have to say with great sadness that this country has moved backwards. And I believe that of course, is one of the reasons why the assassination of Dr. King took place. It was meant to move backwards. And it's not about color or pigmentation or quote-unquote race. It's about our humanity. You bleed the same blood I bleed. I bleed the same blood you bleed. We can have differences. We should have differences. You know, Malcolm X said that you know, that we should learn to disagree in the closet but come out united. I say the same thing, but I say it a little differently. I say that if we sit up here all the time and agree, somebody's lying. All right?
Yeah.
We don't have to agree, but what we have to do is learn to respect each other's perspectives and experiences. And when we do disagree, disagree with honor and respect. And fight for our common interests. Fight together for our common interests. That's not what's happening in 2014. We have the Democrats and Republicans, especially the Democrats right now, running around trying to do every little trick that they possibly can to keep us divided and in fear of each other, while claiming, oh, we're liberals and we really care. Only thing they care about is staying in power. Nothing more, nothing less. They're no different from the Republicans. They're no different. They drink from the same trough. That's the bottom line. Let's be honest with ourselves and with each other. So, I guess in terms of my perspective, having been directly involved, not on the sidelines, but directly involved in the people's liberation struggle, humanity's liberation struggle, if you will, for well over 45 years. That is what my perspective is. We need to be honest with ourselves, be honest with each other. Don't be afraid to disagree, but let's not disagree in such a way that Fox News or ABC or NBC or CBS or PBS can use that against us. See, they look for things like that. Oh, yeah. Oh, there's something. Let's use it. Let's try and do what we can to cause divisiveness. Okay? That's my perspective.
Right. Appreciate that very much. You alluded to this a little earlier in some of your comments, that since America's first black president has been in office, that you think that things in terms of race and that division, we've moved backwards. We've digressed instead of progressed. In my mind, although I did not support Barack Obama politically, and I thought that a lot of his ideals obviously went against my beliefs, I did think that we had the opportunity as a country to hopefully, once and for all, put this issue behind us. Now, I'm not so naive to think that there would never be another racial problem, but you understand what I'm saying as a whole, that we could take this issue and say, let's put this to bed. We now have a black man as the most powerful man in the United States. He has been freely elected by the people, by whites, blacks, yellow, red, everyone. Everyone cast a vote and has elected this man to be president. But I think that we've gone backwards, and you alluded to that. So my question to you would be, do you think that that us going backwards has been intentional and has it been planned?
Yes, to be blunt.
Easy answer.
Absolutely, it was intentional, and absolutely it was planned. First of all, Barack Obama is nominally black. Let me use that word again. Nominally black. Okay, I use the word black in quotation marks. To be black is not simply a matter of color. It's a matter of consciousness. It's a matter of politics. It's also a matter of culture. Barack Obama did not, I want to emphasize the word not, was not and did not engage, or nor was he raised in the black culture, black American culture. Okay, let's be honest, let's stop playing with ourselves. Okay? Obama, I know white folk, many white folks, who are blacker than Obama will ever be. And they're blacker in the sense that they have a consciousness, they have a certain amount of integrity, they know the tradition and the struggle of black Americans. Okay? These are things Obama, are you kidding? This man knows nothing about. Maybe if you ask him about Indonesia, he could tell you all about that. I don't know. you know. But he certainly cannot speak in behalf of the black American struggle. He does not represent the black American struggle. Moreover, and just as importantly, he does not represent the struggle of black, white, brown, red, or yellow people in this country at all. Let's be honest. Okay? He is a brand. Obama is a brand. He was really not so much elected as he was selected. The powers that be decided, let's get this, quote, colored guy, put him in. We can blind the people that way. Oh yes, and this way we can keep them divided and controlled. Barack Hussein Obama knew this. He's a willing pawn, okay, of the power elite in this country. And as far as moving forward, what a joke. I'd say we've moved between 50 to 100 years backwards. And I'm sad to say that. And this so-called first black president has done more damage, not only to black Americans, but to our entire country than any president prior. And I was no supporter of George W. Bush, but I got to tell you, Obama is Bush on steroids.
Well, a lot of people certainly feel that way as he has expanded on many of the Bush policies, particularly with spying on Americans that was started under the Patriot Act, and so many others. You know, the use of the drones you've already alluded to, kind of jokingly, but that's a real issue.
It's real.
It's very real. Mine and your privacy as American citizens that's real issues. And I think that it's unfortunate in some ways that we're having to have this conversation today. But I appreciate your honesty and your willingness to be able to have this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you.
You also alluded to a little while ago, and I told you I had this question for you later on, that you believe that the United States government was complicit in the assassination of Dr. King. Now, a lot of people don't know that in 1999, I believe it was, that in fact there was an investigation done by the United States government.
That's correct.
That found just that. That was their determination, that yes, that the government was complicit in that assassination.
Right.
Most people don't know that. But my question to you is even a little deeper than that, is, again, we have our first black president, in quotations, as you say. Now, the average black American that I would talk to would say that. That's kind of their Kennedy moment, if you will. That yes, there is some type of conspiracy. We do believe that there was some type of conspiracy in the assassination of Dr. King. Maybe he was doing too much good. Maybe he was taken out. So, in your opinion, and from your standpoint, and all of your experience in fighting this battle, why would the first black president, and again I guess we're using that term loosely, why would he not address that to supposedly his people?
We're using the term very loosely, very loosely. But let's again be very candid. It's nothing like candor. And the fact of the matter is that Barack Obama is all about himself. Okay, he would tell his mama. Maybe he already has. I don't know. But if he thought that was politically expedient, the fact of the matter is that the first so-called black president dare not touch the reality of the United States government having been complicitous in the assassination, and the U.S. government was indeed found to be deeply complicitous in the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King on April 4th, 1968. However, let's look at this. Let's understand this. Let's use our common sense. As the Chicanos would say, my brothers and sisters, use your cabeza, use your head, right? Now, this man, Obama, is the head of the U.S. empire. I don't care what his color is. He can be turquoise for all I care. But the reality is that he represents not the interests of everyday, ordinary black, white, brown, red, and yellow people. He doesn't represent the interests, no more than George W. Bush represented the interests of everyday, ordinary black, white, brown, red, or yellow people. He represents, that is to say Obama, represents the interests of the power elite. Okay? The privileged power elite. Those who control our news media, whether it's Fox News, NBC, ABC, PBS, and an endless list that won't be missed, as Gil Scott Heron would say. All right? So we have to understand that Barack Obama, does not represent, first of all, he doesn't represent black people. Forget that. Get that out of your mind, because that's myth. Secondly, and perhaps just as importantly, he doesn't represent ordinary people of any color. Any color. He represents his puppet masters in the power elite. So yes, we have gone way backwards. And Barack Obama has actually made matters far, far worse. But what does he care? He's doing okay.
Yeah.
His daughters are doing okay. His wife's doing okay. His relatives are doing okay. What does he care? He doesn't care. A rat's petunia. That's what he cares. Zilch, zero, nothing, nada. Okay? But it's us, we the people.
Yeah.
We're the ones with the power. You understand? I think I said to you earlier today, my brother, that when back in 2007, when I was trying to warn people, at that time I was writing for Black Commentator, editorial board member and columnist for blackcommentator.com. Now I'm an associate editor with intrepidreport.com. But at that time, I was trying to warn people about who this man was and is. I mean, here we are. Can you imagine? Why would there be any questions whatsoever about the background of President of the United States?
Yes.
Why should there be any question? But there are plenty of questions, and they are legitimate. The people who ask those questions, are not lunatics.
Yeah.
They're not racist. They're thinking, critically thinking people. And they should be asking those questions. All of us should be asking those questions. Whether it would be of George W. Bush, I call him George Papa Doc Bush, or whether it be of Barack Hussein Obama. We should be asking those questions. Who are these people? And in this question, in this particular situation with Obama, we should be saying, wait a minute, our Constitution is in jeopardy. Today, you and I earlier were talking over dinner about Obama being a quote-unquote constitution. He taught constitutional law. And I told you that as soon as I read that, I knew that this country was in deep trouble. Because I knew that Obama was being installed, selected, if you will, not to strengthen the Constitution, but to weaken it and to ultimately destroy it. And we are the only people, we, everyday ordinary, black, white, brown, red, and yellow people, everyday ordinary people, we are the only ones who can do something about it. Thomas Jefferson said that every generation needs a new revolution. People think that was Malcolm. No, that wasn't Malcolm. That was Thomas Jefferson. And he was right. Every generation does need a new revolution. And more than ever in this 21st century, in the year of 2014, we need a new, everyday, ordinary people's revolution that will serve the interests of everyday, ordinary, struggling black, white, brown, red, and yellow people. Not the corporations, these big blood-sucking giants. Not the bureaucrats, the elitists, the Congress, which has lost its mind, apparently, has lost its natural mind. Not the interest of these people, but the interest of struggling, ordinary, everyday, black, white, brown, red, and yellow people. That's who I love. That's who I care about. That's what we have to be about. And I'm going to just shut up. I hope I've said enough.
You can keep going if you want to, brother. Well, Larry, listen. first of all, again, thank you for your time
Thank you.
and the word that you used, your candor in this situation, because I know it's a very emotional subject for you. We've talked about that back and forth all day off camera,
Yeah.
and I know that it's real for you.
Yes.
But I think that it's very important that we end like this, and let's remind the people out there
Mm-hmm.
that although the powers that be may want to drive that wedge and may want to continue to divide and conquer,
Mm-hmm.
it's folks like you and I
That's right. That's
that
right.
choose to say, you know what, this doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
We can spend the day together,
Mm-hmm.
just as brothers,
Mhm.
just as people, as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And I can learn about Larry Pinckney, and you can learn about Brandon Gallups. What
Exactly.
makes me tick? What makes you tick? We certainly don't agree on every issue.
We shouldn't.
No.
Somebody be lying.
Yes. But we have spent the entire day together, and we have found out about each other.
Yes.
And we found common ground.
Oh, yes.
We found things that we don't agree on.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, guess what? We're sitting down together and we're discussing the issues that matter and how can we make a difference in where we are.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I just think it's very important that we end by saying, let's not be controlled by the powers that want to control us.
That's right.
Let's you and I, no matter what the pigment of our skin is,
Mhm.
let's take the control.
You're absolutely correct. I can't say it any differently than my brother, than you've already said. And all I can do is, Smokey Robinson would say, is second that emotion. You know, you're absolutely correct. And as we said back in the day, with the original Black Panther Party, not to be
Yes.
confused with this so-called new Black Panther, with the original Black Panther Party, we said all power to the people. That's black people, white people, brown people, red people, yellow people, all power to the people. That's what this struggle is about. And the beauty of spending all this time today with you is that it's nothing like honesty. Nothing like honesty. And when people can come together in honesty, and we broke bread together, we had a wonderful meal, we talked and we toasted, you know, and where our lines weren't exactly the same didn't matter. What mattered was we were saying it. Look, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Well, let's agree to discuss this some more, but most importantly, let's come together collectively, together, because we have far more in common than we will ever have against each other.
That's right. That's right. Larry, thank you so much for
Thank
your time,
you, my
brother. It's
brother.
been my privilege today.
Yeah.
Again, Brandon Gallups from PP Simmons News and Ministry, and my guest today, Larry Pinckney. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, brother. We do all right.